What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Bunch of stuff to talk about today, including Nintendo apparently delaying their 64 gigabyte game card, which has apparently some Western developers kind of annoyed, kind of frustrated, but what Western developers are we talking about here? And then, of course, we did get our Media Create sales that were massive, as we would expect from the holiday sales, although the software charts might surprise you a little bit. Now, before we start today, guys, we are creeping up on that 70,000 subscriber mark, as we have kind of set our goal for the channel for the end of the year, which is next Monday, I guess. We're shooting for it, so if you have not already, consider subscribing so we can make that goal. Guys, today, let's get started. So this was reported by the Wall Street Journal early yesterday morning. They talked about how Nintendo has, according to their sources, have to push back the 64 gigabyte card that originally was planned for mid-2018. Now, I'm specifically talking about the game card that the games actually come on, the physical games. And as we've seen, well, developers and companies, publishers have had to split information. Mostly you buy a physical game card, you still need to download information onto either internal storage of your Switch, internal storage, or you have to put it on an SD card because it can't really fit on that internal storage you have for your Switch. Now, of course, the first thought was, well, bigger game cards. You have a bigger game card, you don't have to do anything. You throw it all in there and you just buy the game and you pop it in. And that's a great idea, except the cost seems to be way too much right now. And it's odd to hear about really Western developers being a little put off by this move to have to delay it, considering, from what I've seen, most of these developers and publishers seem to be allergic to the 32 gigabyte card. Some are even allergic to the 16 gigabyte card. That's just tell you all you know right there. So I'm not really sure why they would be frustrated with the 64 gigabyte card being pushed back, unless they were going to start charging $70 for some new games or something, because why would they touch a 64 gigabyte card if they don't even want to touch a 16 or even 32 gigabyte card? Now, there are some people thinking, well, if they bring out this bigger card, then maybe the other ones will drop in price. That's not necessarily true, considering it really comes down to the flash NAND chip shortage that we're seeing right now. We've even seen companies like Toshiba have some issues in the background. I think they've kind of mostly got their stuff figured out now, but it seems to be all of this that's kind of factoring into Nintendo's technical issues, as they've said, to have to push this really, from what I can tell, maybe a year back. I mean, mid-2018 could turn into mid-2019. Now, you may also be wondering, well, what companies maybe are frustrated by this, because Wall Street Journal couldn't seem to name any. They just said, oh, some developers out west are concerned about this. They're not happy about it. Well, who are you talking about? Now, the first one that came to mind instantly, like right away, was Rockstar with Grand Theft Auto 5. As most of you probably assume, like I do, we all think Grand Theft Auto 5 is probably in the works for the Switch, mostly because it's an awesome game to have on a system, specifically a portable system that would sell really well. I think people who are just fans of the series would double dip anyway, even if they already have it on the PC or the PS4. They would then buy it again on the Switch, just because they probably want that portable experience. I mean, you don't have to believe me, just look at the sales charts. Top 5 of UK this past holiday weekend, it had Grand Theft Auto in it. Grand Theft Auto 5 was there. So people are still buying it on PS4 and Xbox One. Why wouldn't they also buy it on the new portable system with the Switch? I think that's a great sell. But of course, GTA 5 is a pretty big game. It's been getting larger and larger with all these updates, to the point where it's generally over 50 gigabytes if you get all the stuff. That's why you have to download more stuff on the PS4 and the Xbox One. Now they do fit all of that on a Blu-ray, and that's awesome. Even the PC version isn't as big as something like 80 gigabytes or anything, even 100 like we've seen with some other companies. But a 64 gigabyte card would really help. I do think that's a game they might be able to split multiplayer and single player and fit it on the single player, at least on something like a 32 gigabyte card, have you download assets for the multiplayer, similar to what Doom did, kind of. I think they could maybe make that work. I don't think Rockstar wants you to have to download anything for a single player game, but honestly at this point, I think most people would rather have it and then have to download it rather than just not have it at all. So I would expect GTA 5 to be coming out sometime in 2018 if it's going to happen. I don't think they'll wait, but now I'm also wondering, as many of you may be, what other companies could be waiting and maybe are frustrated with this 2019 delay of the 64 gigabyte cards. That's where you guys come in. Let me know what games, what publishers, what developers could be frustrated with this whole situation with these 64 gigabyte cards. I don't really see anyone jumping to use the 32. I barely see anyone jumping to get the 16 gigabyte card. So let me know who you think might have been frustrated by this move. Next up, we got Media Create sales, and as you would expect, they're massive. They're big. Everything sold well pretty much. Minus the Xbox One X maybe. We'll touch on that though. The Xbox One X, I think that price tag's starting to catch up to it a little bit, especially in Japan. But of course, Media Crate Sales tells us all about the physical sales that happen in stores in Japan every week. This does cover last week, the holiday week leading up to any holidays, Christmas, anything that we all celebrate. And they were pretty large, like I said. We're going to start with the systems here. Nintendo Switch is at the top, 269,684. That's up from 221,000 the week prior. 3DS right below that. That includes the entire 3DS family, whether it's new 3DS, the 3DS XL, the 2DS XL, everything, 80,637. It's up from 55,000. PS4 was nearly stagnant. It was up about 5,000. That's at 67,257 units. The PS4 Pro made up about 25% of that. The other 75% or three quarters was the regular base model PS4. The Vita, 14,000. Look at that. I still like the Vita, so I'm glad to see it at least selling somewhere. I can't find one here in the US, so who knows. Xbox One, that's the entire Xbox One family, 719 units. By the way, the Xbox One X makes up 32 units of that. You're going to see the Wii U and the PS3 below that. Both of those actually outsold the Xbox One X system, the 4K version of the Xbox One. So the Xbox One X was actually the worst selling system of the entire holiday season. They only sold 32 of them, whereas the regular Xbox One at least sold 687. For comparison's sake, the PS4 Pro, which is obviously Sony's 4K system, sold 16,595 of that 67,000 selling point for the PS4. And this is it's not good for the Xbox One X, obviously. The fact that they can only sell 32 of them in a holiday season is not good, especially when you look up and you see the Switch selling over 260,000 Switch units, even the PS4 with the upper part of 60,000 units. That's not good. Now listen, Microsoft has never been strong in Japan. The fact that, well, obviously the 3DS this past week almost sold the entire lifetime sales of the Xbox One family that sits around 88,000 units. It's not surprising to see this. It's just kind of a shame that the Xbox One just cannot seem to get any kind of hold in Japan, and I do think the brand has hurt it in Japan, and we'll see what maybe they do with the next generation system, because at that point, Microsoft just wants this generation, I think, to be over, as I've said time and time again. We'll see if Japan wants to pick up the next system, whatever they come up with in the next couple of years or whatever, you know, and maybe we do get to 2021 or something, and then we see the next PlayStation and Xbox like we're all assuming. Can that then maybe turn Microsoft around if they show up with new exclusives? I don't know. But at this point, the Switch took over the week. Again, as we expected, the Switch sells well in Japan. They clearly sold out. There were a lot of people who were predicting over 300,000. I thought they'd get over 300,000, but honestly, with this number, they nearly, I mean, they're so close to selling over 500,000. They're right at 500,000 units. So 500,000 units in 2 weeks for the Switch. That's just in Japan. That's pretty good. It tells me in December, they probably sold over 2 million units worldwide for the Switch, which is a big deal, considering that easily eclipses anything the Wii U has ever done at Christmas time. And that borders on the Wii when it was flying off shelves. So yeah, the Switch, good job for them. Sony did well, the 3DS, even the Vita. There you go. Let's jump over to software here, and you're gonna be kind of surprised by the top 10. Now, if you look up and down the top 10, well, you're going to see Nintendo pretty much own the top 9 spots. In fact, if 1-2 Switch was able to have sold about 800 more units, it would have been an entire sweep for Nintendo. Let's start at the top. Mario Odyssey sold 209,000 units, bringing its total nearly to 1.3 million. This is a big deal here because it does include the bundles, but it also shows that Mario Odyssey is just a powerhouse. Right below that, Yokai Watch took the number 2 spot. Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon together at number 3. They still include those together. Splatoon 2, number 4. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at number 5. Kirby Battle Royale, number 6. We have Zelda below that, 7. Pokken Tournament, 8. ARMS, 9. And then below that, number 10, the one thing that PS4 did get was Idolmaster, sitting there at 23,772. That is a debut title for that week. All in all, it was a good week, as we could tell here, for everyone except for, I guess, the Microsoft brand in Japan, but they don't ever seem to really do anything there anyway, so they probably barely look at Japan either way. But in this case, big stuff here from all companies. The Switch clearly took the holiday season in Japan. They are now sitting roughly around, they're very close to the Wii U's lifetime sales. They're about 150,000 units away, according to what we've seen here with Media Creates. They are now over 3 million units in Japan for the Switch, and I do think, unless there is a massive downturn for the week after Christmas, which is a time where everyone generally has gift cards and money, so unless there is a massive downturn, they would have to sell a significant amount less than they did this past week. They have to sell 120,000 less to not make it to the Wii U lifetime sales. I think before this year closes out, this week going on right now in Japan, the Switch is going to pass the Wii U's lifetime sales, and they're going to start 2018 with a much larger potential for a system that they have not had for 4 years now with the Wii U. So I'm sure Nintendo's excited, looks good in Japan, and I honestly expect, depending on what announcements get in January, for the Switch to just keep climbing in Japan. Next up, let's talk a little bit about Microsoft and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, because there's some controversy and some allegations being thrown around there yesterday, and that is when, well, Microsoft posted an interesting advertisement, one that looked kind of familiar to some people for PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. That showed, as you see here, an Xbox One with kind of like a really the setting of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds on top of it with the kind of the high grass and everything. And then you see Microsoft's version that they put out in a tweet, and it's kind of the same idea with a controller next to it. And this is from a Reddit user by the name of Maxter. They had realized that Microsoft really kind of ripped them off, and they posted on Reddit, which blew up. And then Microsoft, they take it down after saying that they're going to investigate what happened here. More than likely, somebody in the Microsoft marketing team saw that tweet, said, hey, that would be cool. And then they made, well, what was pretty much the exact same version. It's pretty clear that Microsoft understands they were probably in the wrong as they took it down, and they're probably going to leave it at that. Now, this isn't new or anything. I think most of us have seen this happen in some way, especially if you're an artist. You've probably seen an idea or something ripped off at some point in time, but this is not uncommon. In this case, somebody just happened to post on Reddit, and their original concept for an advertisement was seen enough that it blew up, and Microsoft felt some heat, so they had to take it down. But with how large Microsoft is in that marketing department, I'm sure they probably look around for some inspiration quite a bit on the internet and take the idea and then, well, turn it into their own. So it's a shame to see. I'm glad, I guess, Microsoft realized that it wasn't good and took it down, and that the person at least got some recognition for it. If it hadn't been taken down, if I was them, I would just put it in my portfolio and been like, this massive billion-dollar company used my idea. You guys should hire me. Next up, let's talk a little bit about PlayStation Plus, because we did get really the announcement for January games coming up. Ones that are, I guess, are free, kinda. You do technically pay for the service, but they are games that they at least give out to their PlayStation Plus members. One of them is pretty cool. The other one's okay, I guess. They also had a game for VR. Let's start with the big one, I guess, which is Deus Ex: Mankind Divided for the PS4. You'll be able to download that one. Okay game, but that was technically the last one that made them shutter the series for now with Square. Batman the Telltale series, the entire season 1 will be available. All of this takes place starting January 2nd. VR for the PlayStation VR owners, that I'm actually starting to become a bigger fan of PlayStation VR. Starblood Arena will be available for you. PlayStation Vita owners will get Psycho Pass, and then PlayStation 3 owners will get Sacred 3. Okay lineup, I guess. I guess Deus Ex is good because then maybe some people will get to try it. Maybe they'll realize, hey, I guess I should have got this when it came out. The game is okay, I think. I don't think it's like amazing or anything, but hey, it's free. The first season of Batman Telltale is also cool to have, since there is a full second season. So I guess, again, if you like it, you can then buy into the second season. But Deus Ex, I at least hope gets a little more interest from some gamers, because that is a series that people have been very concerned about just going away. But if people really like this, hey, maybe there's some more interest, and maybe they try to figure out how to make the game not mediocre, I'll say that, because I remember when that game was really cool on the PC and even on the original Xbox, and then it kind of started to fall off from there. And then our last bit of news, let's talk about Spyro the Dragon, because I think a lot of people would like to see that remade after seeing how well Crash did when that was remade. Well, a couple of different people have been voicing that opinion. It sounds like a coder by the name of Valafor heard everyone, and they remade Spyro to a degree, kind of a Christmas-themed level that they created in Unreal Engine 4, and I gotta say, it looks pretty awesome, and it's free to download now. You can go download it. Now, I did check out the link. And unfortunately it was down due to traffic, but this looks really cool. It's a cool look at what Spyro could become. Now, they talked about how they don't really want to continue with it because at any moment they could be hit with a cease and desist from Activision. And I can kind of understand that, because then you'd spend, X amount of time, a year, 2 years on programming it, developing it, and then all it takes is one piece of paper showing up in your mailbox to shut it down and have all that time just wasted. I mean, you can technically still work on your free time and just have it just for you, but something like that, you want to show everyone, you want to share it with the fans. So at this point, I just hope Activision and everyone can kind of come together and redo Spyro, because it's a game that I think a lot of us would want to buy. I do think because of how well Crash did, they kind of stepped back and started looking around at some of the other stuff, and they'd have to be blind to not see that Spyro would be an awesome series to bring back. I think it would sell as well as Crash did. I do. I think enough people would be like, yeah, I want to revisit those 3 Spyro games that are that are very popular on the PS1. Let's check them out in full HD, maybe even Unreal Engine. I don't know, but this at least looks fun. Go check it out, guys. I'll leave a link to the download, or at least a page for you to go check out, so you can download and try it yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for Newswave today. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, guys. Really helps the video out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave a bunch of comments below. I need to know everything you guys think about what we're talking about here with this 64 gigabyte card. Who's disappointed about this? What Western developer is like, oh, I can't fit my 50 gigabyte game on a Switch card now. I guess I gotta wait until 2020 or 2019 when these become widely available. Is there like kind of a dark horse company out there that's behind the scenes waiting for this? I need to hear what you guys think about who could be trying to get on the Switch that needs that kind of a cart. And then also let me know what you guys think about the Media Crate sales numbers. Are you happy with how things have gone for the Switch in Japan? Are you more on the side of the PlayStation? You're seeing it come up to 6 million units sold soon, or are you more on the Xbox side and you're kind of disappointed with their inability to get the Japanese market on board? Because that's a market that they can't seem to get on their side. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.